Fearing overpriced lies, $99 packs over disguise. Star Trek essence lost in the void. The frail team, joy destroyed. No mercy for greed. Blood wine flows. Cling on honor, let it show. Boxing fate, electric beast. Star Trek soul, now deceased. Galactic vultures scorching gold. Tristan Nation story soul. Ranky smile, power thirst. Legacy shattered, unforgivable curse. Galactic vultures crushing gold. Tristan Nation story soul. Ranky smiles, power thirst. Legacy shattered, unforgivable curse. Swords of warriors, blood red skies, shattered dreams, cash cow cries, all flame madly, chaos and thrill. Star Trek's blood now spilled. Crimson war cries, glory lost. Money takes, honors cost. Blood wine drips, blood in rage. College weeps in his grave. Scorching gold, break their nation story soul. Rangy smiles, power thirst, Star Trek soul, now deceased. Galactic vultures scorching gold, dressed their nation story soul.
All right, let's turn the music on down and let's hang out together, everybody. Happy Sunday to y'all. Good to see you. Welcome on in. We're going to try to talk about several different things that have been on y'all's mind, including on the APAC man's mind. There's only like 9 of them, so we might as well mention him. His name's Ultravetica. But talk about the new Maverick system. You know, obviously with this being the month that's happening, you know, if there are any adjustments to the events that need to get done, we kind of discuss those as that's happening, which would be, you know, now. And, you know, some of those tasks may or may not be good. They may be terrible. They may be okay. We'll talk about some of those, talk about the various things going on in the game. And of course, this upcoming Wednesday, for those who haven't heard it and are watching here live, or if you watch this after the fact, March 18th is our next Alliance tournament. So be ready, be prepared if you are not already. I know I'm going to be really talking to my folks over on server 710. If you are trying to participate, now's the time. Actually, that reminds me, one second. Messaging a player. Sorry, somebody who's considering joining my Alliance on server 710, seeing if I can get them in before Wednesday to help with the Alliance tournaments. Just thought about that. So, James says Alliance tasks should take into account the Alliance size. I significantly disagree. I could not be louder in my disagreement. I have said before, you should not get a handicap because you're in a small alliance. Being in a small alliance is a choice. Absolutely should not get that. If anything, it should be something that you have to consider. I'm going to have less of an advantage if I'm in a small alliance. I 1000% disagree. I think that's bad gameplay. That's not balanced gameplay. While STFC certainly is not a game known for balance, it's a good way to unbalance things. Now, speaking of balance, things, if it was a leaderboard that gives more, I would agree. That's exactly how it works, James. That is quite literally what Alliance Tournaments is. It quite literally is a leaderboard that depends on how well you perform is how much you get. So you just described Alliance Tournaments. I'm glad you agree with me. Sulu, good to see you. Walter, good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. It's so good to see you. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Maverick Alliance task. Okay. Well, Maverick Alliance task, I see that a little bit more. I thought we were talking about Alliance tournaments. Alliance Maverick task, a little bit more, you know, in tune with that. I don't think necessarily the Alliance size should matter. I think it should be more based on, I think it should just be more fair ops range. relevant. So for example, the FKR hunt, you know, if you're in a low level alliance and you're hitting 55s, which is where this starts, right? So let's just say you're server 710. I mean, you get 154,000 points. You're basically asking your level 80s to do it for you, is what you're essentially doing, even though there's no level 80s, right? I do agree that the scaling needs to be higher, right? The lower levels really, and I hate to be this guy, but like if you're level 56, there's really no point in you purposely grinding your FKR to help with this Maverick task. There's really no point. It's really just get your G7 players to do their stuff, and if not, you kind of ignore it. And that in and of itself is not good gameplay. While we're sitting here debating good gameplay, what is that? What's it look like? Well, that certainly isn't it. So, you know, a completely legitimate thing to bring up in that instance and in that use case, as it were, and I'm with you on it. So, again, finding the balance is a tricky thing that this game definitely struggles with. And I think that particular task does need to have a little bit of a rebalance to make it to where what a lower level does, or in this case, not even a lower level, what a mid-ops player does has more value, right? You know, it's to a degree feels like you're punishing the mid-ops players for not being high enough level because they can't really contribute and they're not really doing much. And if you're out there as a mid-level player, I am not saying that you need to level up. That's not the argument I'm making. In fact, I generally scream the exact opposite. What I'm saying is the value for your input, the value for your work is not the same as someone who can be a higher level and work. And I think the effort should be the same for things like those type of tasks. Right? If it's not a leaderboard, if it's just simply your alliance needs to complete this, then everybody's effort should be equal, just by default, because everybody's doing the same thing. So it shouldn't matter if you're level 55 or level 75. You're both doing the same thing for the same task. You should be giving equal effort. It doesn't make sense to weight it as, well, if you're level 73, you've got it 27 times easier than somebody who's level 59. I think that's a good balance, but again, it's one of the many ways they're constantly trying to get people to level up. So yeah, it's now not all the tasks are bad. I think a lot of the Maverick tasks are actually decently balanced, but there are a couple of tasks that are tough if you're not in a higher level or a higher scaled alliance, and that's something that you have to kind of bear in mind and, you know, balance out for yourself. You know, what's good for me, what I want to actually do, what I want to deal with. Because not everybody wants to deal with all the new things that the game has. Some people would rather just ignore it entirely. Some people would rather, you know, take advantage of it. Whichever way that you tend to whichever side that you tend to fall in that argument, I just think options are better. Mo options is mo better, is kind of what I'm saying here. And I am trying to decide how I want to. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw Mr. Neelix on here. I was curious. I'm just going to go do some quick armadas. Because why not? Really, because I need to. I need to go do some G6 solo stuff. So I'm going to do that while we sit here and chit-chat and have a fantastic time. Try to remember if this is the system that has the uncommons or not. But today is Sunday, which is a reminder, is the day that Anomalous Phenomenon runs. So that means make sure you're getting your jumps in, whether it's with this, whether it's with another ship, get your jumps in and get to work, right? So get your jumps in. Don't forget about Anomalous Phenomenon. Remember, that is a prime way. It's one of our main ways to make sure we're sourcing officer badges. And everybody here needs to be sourcing officer badges. So that you're not one of the people a year down the road complaining to Rev, there's terrible sourcing. Well, you should have been sourcing it throughout the year. So, yeah. That's what I'm advocating. Low levels, be able to go on mining tasks. And see, it's tough for me to advocate, Walter, because that's terrible. Like, mining is the most boring singular aspect of this game, in my opinion. And I hate to encourage a mining task. Because, for example, if you gave a mining task to my level 55 account, and you said that's how I can contribute to Maverick, guess what? I wouldn't contribute to Maverick. I think everybody just needs to be weighted the same. I think that's the simple fix. And like it or not, most people would rather do something active for a task than passive. I know we talk about wanting passive things, but going by what Scopely has shown and talked about in terms of activity, well, the more passive the task, the less likely somebody is to complete it. I mean, people go out and do their challenge track. a lot of people don't mine their dailies. I know that shocks people because the people who come to streams are diehards and they have 8 miners out right now mining transition, ore, crystal, gas, sigma, titanium. Y'all are all mining everything. Most people don't do that. You know, they might leave out a miner at night, you know, get that thing done. But most people aren't out here just doing heavy mining stuff. You know, activity has shown that grind events, things like that, really get the people going, good or bad. So, you know, I would lean into that. And I think for the Maverick task, it's just about finding that balance. So, status system, something like 10 points per hostile of your level or above, and -1 point for hitting lower level, which would then make any level of player contribute the same. Yeah, you could absolutely do it that way. I would actually simplify it, Sandra, and just say every player does this many points. Every time you hit it, if it's literally just a task for FKR hostiles, which is what it is in the Maverick task, if it literally is, you just need to score 154,000 points, then it's just you hit a hostile flat rate if you're above level 55. Doesn't matter if you're doing Orions, if you're grinding, technically wouldn't be doing Orions for an FKR task, but I think you kind of get the point that I'm making. Right? Doesn't matter what you're grinding on, deep space, FKR, whatever, same point structure, period. You hit a hostile that's an FKR, you get it done. Right? Now I know the aspect you're coming from, which is making sure that people don't just use their dauntless like on level 20s, but my rebuttal to that would be, why is that even a bad thing? Why does it matter? Why not use your dauntless on a bunch of level 20s and just get it done? You know, I don't see a problem with that as long as it's getting done. I just think it needs to be valuable for everybody, because as it stands right now, if you're a player in G5 or G6, you know, you're not really contributing to those tasks almost at all. And that could be a very deflating feeling. Angry Lou, good to see you. Last question. Do you think the Affiliate is worth getting, or do you think I should keep using my Disco to get my faction G6 miners to deep veil space? I think the Philly is absolutely worth getting. I don't think the Philly is worth spending your hard-earned money on, but do I think the Philly is something you should get? Absolutely. And I would also venture to say that every G7 in this chat would agree with me. If you do not, feel free to chime in. We do like to kind of share everybody's take and opinion, but I think the Philly is absolutely something to get free to play in G7. Don't go out buying packs to get the Sigma faction credits or anything like that, but it's just the Selkie for G7, and I would absolutely recommend it. If for no other reason, Warp Range alone, as you said, you're currently using the Disco. What happens after you level up a couple levels and you really want to start getting access to those better places? Well, you're going to need more Warp Range. And not even beyond the Warp Range, the Philly is just a better mining ship. Right? Now, keep in mind, I did make a G7 checklist video where I said, really recommend have at least one maxed G6 rare miner, right? Just because of how beneficial it can be. But just speaking to the greater end of the game, like, that doesn't mean that I want you to use that exclusively and never go after anything else. It's just more of a, in conjunction with this, have this. Philly is absolutely something to work towards for every player, and at some point in the future, we will be talking, as we do with the Selkie now, about having 4 or 5 Phillies. Right now, that seems like an insane concept. You talk to a lot of players who in the chat right now, I'm like, what do you, 4 Phillies? Who can afford that? Well, in today's economy, yeah, that's not really realistic, but long term, that is what we will be getting into, is we'll have several of those things. And that is, I feel, will be the recommendation. So for now, if you're in the G7 premium area, knowing it's less than 6 months old, it will take time to get that, but you absolutely should be working towards it. And if you just play actively every day, it doesn't take that long to get the things needed for the Philly. Granted, express my opinion, some people might disagree with that. Some people might be like, Rev, you're wrong. It actually is the hardest thing in the world. And feel free to share your opinion. We welcome all opinions here. How long have you been at Op 63 on this account? I don't know, 4 months, 3 months? I think 3 months. Yeah, we came in at the start of the year, so yeah, right at 3 months we've been sitting here at, well, depending on how you look at it, maybe 2.5 months we've been sitting at Op 63 on this particular account. So honestly, not very long. I mean, I know what is long and what is a lot of time varies from player to player in terms of what they experience, but that's not really a long time. You know, it's main thing is I'm having fun, right? I would like to get a couple of specialty ships tiered up just a little bit more because I haven't tiered them up enough. But Other than that, I mean, I am one of the strongest players at 63. The account's ready. If we're just speaking to the strength of the account, my account's definitely ready for more and has been for a while. I've just decided I'm going to hold out and continue to grind. And I also want to point out that there are several things that I've personally fallen behind on. There are a couple of artifacts that I fell behind on. There are a couple of specialty buildings I fell behind on. There are a couple of specialty ships I feel I'm behind on. And whether you feel behind or not is obviously going to be, again, completely reliant on you and your experience. For me, I feel like I have a ways to go. A lot of people would look at, me being around 1.3 billion. I think I'm 1.3-ish billion total power at 63, which is top 20, maybe top 15 for the entire game. Most people be like, Rev, you're more than good, level up. And I think that's fair. I just am enjoying where I'm at. And one thing that I do try to stress to players, doesn't matter whether you're level 53, 33, 63, if you're having fun, no reason to move. It's as long as you're having a good time, there's no reason to move. Now, as soon as that fun starts, disappearing and you don't have it anymore, absolutely get to moving, 100%. But if you're having a great time, no reason to move. Enjoy the great time that you're having. Tori, good to see you. Is it worth spending the skill points on FC Lorca's Apex Spike, adding 130 Apex Barrier, or would it be better to add 1% on Lorca Spike for increasing critical hit chance? Great question, Tori. My rebuttal to that, or rebuttal not the right word, my response to that would be, what ops level are you? So, for example, if you're a G7 player, like Sandra, she was here earlier, if you're a G7 player, a lot of the researches that exist, FTs, CTs, PTs, etc., a lot of things have made it to where you're almost guaranteed to hit a critical no matter what. So critical chance starts having less value the higher ops you go, because more and more things start existing that allow you to get criticals and have criticals in almost every situation, PvE, PvP, etc. So if you're ops 50, then the critical hit chance might be worth a little bit more. If you're ops 74, then that little smidge of Apex Barrier is arguably more valuable given the two, just because you probably aren't getting any value from an additional critical chance. You're probably hitting a critical every shot, anyway. So really, I think that answered your question, but depends on your ops level. Can you explain why certain officer turn-ins don't produce transporter patterns? Anything that is common and uncommon turns into experience. Anything that is rare and epic turns into transporter patterns, Eddie. So like if you have Chin, for example, she's an uncommon, very quick to max for most people. You max out Chin, every shard gives you officer XP. Now, you don't max out Chin, and let's say you're doing a rare, you get 75 per shard for the rare. Right now, if you have an instance where you feel like it's not showing up, a lot of times that's just the game bugging out and not showing you if you track it. And Spox Club can be a great place to track that information. You can track whether you're actually getting your transporter patterns with something like Spox Club or just looking in game. Odds are every officer is giving them to you. If you find that not being the case, then that comes to our everybody's favorite words, time for a ticket. Everybody's favorite time is the ticket time. Everybody loves ticket time. But that's our route, that's our avenue for getting things fixed in the game is tickets. So I'm trying to remember, what is the system? Anybody remember off the top? I guess I can look it up. I really don't want to deal with that level of hazard, so I'll just come down back to these. What was the uncommon one? Yeah, it should be this one. But hazards. I do have the C12 stasis globe finally unlocked, which is super handy. Brandon says, strongly disagree about the Philly catching up at triple speed. What do you disagree on? Because the Philly long term, I think, is a fantastic option in G7. What exactly about the Philly do you dislike? So, comes to work on a Sigma Trit and Parstel, especially Sigma Trit. It's pauper levels to earn in G7. That's intentional, M for his glory. That's to get you to spend money. Yeah, there will be plenty of economy updates in G7 that make Sigma Tritanium and Sigma Parstel come in greater quantities, but that will come in time. If you choose to jump into it at this early stage, it's expected for you to spend money. So you're going to have to slog your way through it early on. That's just kind of, again, that's just the design of STFC. It's not necessarily anything special. Anybody that's been here doing STFC for a while has experienced this in one form or another, where if you go to the premium area while it's still fresh, nothing is intended to be accessible, quote unquote. It's intended to be a pain, intentional frustration to get you to spend. So Sanders says the feeling will be okay ship once G7 economy is paying out G7 amount of Sigma Trit. Until then, it's good to collect free BPs for the future. Yeah, well, to be clear, I'm advocating for going after it free no matter what. I do not recommend anybody use anything spin-wise to go after the Philly, but I do absolutely believe that it's for G7 and should run in G7, especially as you're leveling up. Now, when you're an early G7, like my G7 checklist talks about, you could just use maxed out 68 miners and you'll be fine. But eventually, you're probably going to want to swap over to something like the Philly to have a more consistent and better warp range without needing the hassle of, using something to summon. But that's long term. So, Builder says, I don't know if this is a slow rollout or just me, but their offers tab keeps popping up every time I enter my station. This is the new norm. You're just going to quit. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that one. I do agree that it's annoying, though. Yeah, I do agree it's annoying. One of the first world issues with G7 is most of the ships look unappealing, especially as a Romulan-centric player. Yeah, I agree. I think the Romulan ships are hideous. But nothing we can really do about that. If you love the Romulans, you gotta, enjoy your snakehead. You love the Romulans, and go enjoy the Romulans. Sometimes, look, in G3, I had to deal with the Klingons having the ugliest ships. Sometimes you're the one with the short straw and you've got the ugly ships. That's just kind of the name of the game sometimes. Sometimes you're the one who has to deal with the ugly ships. Now, the Federation, luckily enough, they're in the middle almost exclusively. The Federation ships, to me, are never the best looking ships in their range, but they're probably never the worst. For me, G3 through G6, the Romulans are the best looking faction ships in the game. Just in terms of, as a faction. They nosedive in G7. Things like the Snakehead and everything are hideous. And I realize that somebody's going to say, but Rev, they're from Picard. Sure. And I've said before, there were better ships from Star Trek Picard that were Romulan they could have used besides things like the Snakehead shuttle and stuff. Again, that's just my opinion. But, either way, blah, 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 blah. I'm ranting again. Pains about Romulan communist sold. Look at the G7 Romulan ships. Yeah, and I feel for y'all, because if you are a fan of the Romulans, and from my own internal polling in my Discord, there are more people who are actually a fan of Romulans than Klingons, which is a bummer for me, but I try to keep it factual and I'm not gonna lie about it. And the truth is, y'all seem to like that more. Well, if that's the case, then I want y'all to enjoy what's being offered. But end of the day, somebody's got to get the short straw, and this time around for G7, y'all got the short straw. I still would say that the ships are worth picking up, though. One thing I'll say is if you are a Romulan fan, and we can have a discussion whether this is good or bad. By the way, JG, good to see you. Welcome in. Good to see you, Darth Heat. Answer your question in just a second. All the G7 ships, and Sandra and Braindig and all the other G7s can kind of add more to this. They're basically all identical. Yeah, there's a faction triangle, but mitigation as a concept is losing more and more value as more things get added in the game. And the only thing the triangle does is do weights for mitigation, as in dodge versus accuracy type deal. So you don't really have to choose or worry about I'm picking something that's going to hinder me because I went Romulan and not Fed. In G7, it's all basically is an aesthetic choice. Everything is pretty much identical. The impulse speeds, the firing patterns, they're all essentially the same ship. Just pick which one you like. So if you decide that you think the Romulans have the ugliest ships in G7, then you can just ignore them. Or if you're a Romulan fanboy, then just, stick with your Romulans. You don't have to switch over just because they're ugly. You can enjoy them however. Some people might think that it'd be better if there actually was a little bit more difference between each one. Maybe a significant difference in firing pattern, or maybe the Klingons had great weapons and just terrible shields. And that's a good design discussion I think that players can have and in-game design can hear. But at the end of the day, there's no real difference. Whether it's good or bad, we can discuss. Anyway, Darth Heat, I said I'd answer your questions. I'm level 50, been here for a while. When leveling at this should, I think you put 8. I think you used in Texas speech, you said 8 when you meant aim. Did you aim to go to level 52 or 53? 53. Generally, for me, anytime I'm going to tell people to camp or where their next level is going to be the next level that faction ships become available. That's the next level. I'm almost always going to tell people, hey, here's where you go. It's the next level that faction ships are now readily available to you. So whether that's 46, 50, 53, 56, 60, 63, 66, etc., it's going to be faction ships. And because I always recommend people pick up at least one of them, even if it's an ugly Romulan one. So Simon says the Klingon ships are all a D7 variant, but at least they look good, even if there's no imagination. And see, I can agree to an extent with that comment. I do think they're a little bit different than just a D7 variation, you know, but I absolutely agree that there was little imagination with those. I mean, just you didn't really deviate. You just put a couple of fins on this one and slightly change the neck on that one, but you know, they still look better as a whole than the Romulans. And let's not even start talking about the level 80 ships. Obviously, nobody has them yet, but woof. The Enterprise M414, that's going to be fun. So, anyway, there's still some fun things, like the ship coming out next month. Woohoo! Add racing stripes like they did with the Rialta. The Rialta with its racing stripes when we had those Rialta events, which, man, that would be great to get those to come back around on a semi-consistent basis. I really enjoyed those events, and a little bit biased because Server 20 are the ones who invented the Rialta races and such, but those are some fun events. I would like those to circle on back. Would really like to see those circle on back and be made popular again. It's probably not the right word, but just a little bit more consistency, because I think most people, and if y'all were here, feel free to chime in, most people tended to enjoy those events. They were a lot of fun. They were actually pretty well balanced because everybody was doing Rialtas. So, you know, you had level 60s who were beating level 65s and stuff. Like, you know, you're working on base stats and really, really low base stats at that point. So that it provided actual competition without it just being a punch down fest. And I found it to be a lot of fun. Now, if anybody else has any opinion, feel free to share. One thing that I do want to do the rest of this month is really lean on them with feedback regarding event structure. I know Ultra Vetica has mentioned some of this, and I want to join in with Ultra Vetica talking about the Maverick task, maybe a little bit of rebalancing that they need, but that can stretch to a lot of things. I think there are some great events that have happened in times past that players would like to see return. You know, too soon to mention Chronicle of the Ascendant. Like to see it return because players found not just value in them, but they actually just enjoyed doing them. Just enjoyed doing the events as they happen. You know, and James bringing up Wandering Warriors, which is a big Latinum payout for lower level players and lower ops and mid ops players. Yeah, absolutely. Things like that. I do think, you know, oh, come on, go and join the circle, you silly little cube. Why are you moving so slow? But yeah, there we go. What is going on with you? Is this just a visual glitch? Like, seriously, you're moving like you're a Tala. Thank you. Yeah, you just go ahead and finish that up, please. Yeah. 1 second, y'all. Hear my son at the door. I'll be right back. Sorry. I'm a father of 3, and Sunday the kids are always running around being a mess. So that's exactly what was going on. We're all good now. Apologies. They're just at the door, just goofing off. Like they didn't even need anything. Just being loud. So, Daniel, awesome, man. Good luck. Hoping the Borg events return so I can get my 5 of 11 avatar, or at least have those rewards added. So, here, let me get my notepad out. Let's start listing some of these events that people really enjoyed. Now, Mega Cube is typically slated to run between arcs, specifically during 2-week breaks. We did not have a 2-week break this time, but that's usually when you'll see the Mega Cube event run through. Wandering Warriors, though, another good one that we haven't had in a while. One that I love was the event that was this form was McCall's Crucible, but the Boldly Go events I thought were great for everybody. I loved Boldly Go. Now, the last iteration of Boldly Go that y'all would probably remember is McCall's Crucible, but that was just a Boldly Go style of event. Boldly Go speaking to the style of event where you have 7 days to complete 5 days worth of tasks. You could do any of the tasks on any of the days. Those were, pretty cool. What else can you do, Daniel? Just nothing, man. I mean, you can make a ticket, but end of the day, if it's upsetting you that bad, I'm not gonna be mad at you if you leave. I'm not gonna beg you to stay either. I say take a chill pill, take a step back, and reevaluate in 2 days, man. Greetings from Serb on Server 51. Shout out to y'all. I bet y'all are looking forward to Alliance tournaments. Learned a lot from you. Thanks for your information. Happy to hear it. Yeah, we've got that coming in, 4 days? No, 3 days. I know that's y'all's big thing. So you plan on taking #1 overall, or are y'all not really worried about it? So, you like the Saris Invasion? Well, Saris Invasion is gone. They've already said there's no more Saris Invasion happening. There are newer versions of Saris Invasion, which are basically just copy pastas of that. We actually had that, a week or so ago? No, 2 weeks ago? When was that last version we just had? But the actual one for the Galaxy Quest has been canceled, and that's gone. So, Emerald Chain needs an expansion? Maybe, but most alliances are nowhere near max Emerald Chain. So it's tough to argue that it's tough to argue that Emerald Chain needs an expansion, because most people are nowhere near max Emerald Chain. Like, I get it that there are alliances who have finished out their Emerald Chain, but, and this is just me speaking. I think just because the top alliances start maxing things out doesn't mean we start needing expansions. Again, power creep is a serious issue in STFC. Now, obviously this alliance is not maxed because we had the whole, reset, but most people are nowhere near maxed. So I just, I get it. Yeah. As more and more people get there, it absolutely should be adjusted, but Emerald Chain's really not that old, and it's already gotten some things added to it as it is. I think expanding it is a bit premature. Now, if anybody disagrees, I always love to field disagreement here, but I feel like it's a little bit early for that. Next Alliance tournaments, our Alliance will finish Emerald Chain. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So my low-level Alliance, server 710, we just hit Masters League, and we're at Emerald Chain's 26. It's 25 or 26, right? So we're definitely moving pretty decently. And that alliance has been doing alliance tournaments for 1.5 years. So it just kind of gives you a baseline of where maybe another alliance is at. Because a lot of y'all that come to this stream, like Daniel, Muddy, Ryan, Garrett, a lot of y'all been playing a long time. Z Krager, y'all been playing a long time. So maybe y'all are in the top alliances that are getting a lot of these things, completed faster than others, which would be completely fair. It's just, for me, as soon as somebody reaches that milestone, my first thought isn't to then expand the milestone, if that makes sense. If I could help answer any questions going to G7, I've been 71 for 40 days. Congratulations. Yeah, I don't personally have any, but if anybody in chat does, absolutely. Yeah, and congratulations on being up there, and I hope you're having a good time at 71. Next Alliance tournament, you can finally unlock the Vindicator. Congrats. I have the Vindicator on my baby account, and that's been very, very useful to start working on, all the fleet commanders, except for one. Obviously not Cisco or anything, but still. Realize you got to catch it live. Usually watch the replay after work. Well, welcome in, Jamie. Yeah. So our Sundays can be a little bit all over the place depending on what's going on, family, things like that. But yeah, we try to be pretty consistent, and I do appreciate you watching after the fact, and hopefully, keeping everybody informed and hoping everybody have fun. That's the goal. Hope you get a hold of STFC looking at the issue I have. Daniel, I mean, I can ask about the ticket, dude, but like if you're that frustrated, then I'll be honest, Daniel. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't have anything I can give you. When you scrap version 3 of the Revenant, tier 15. Tier 15. So the Revenant scrapping is tier 5, tier 10, tier 15. Because you can't get a hold of them? Okay, man. Like you've made that point several times. What is it you're even missing, man? If you've been missing something for a year, what are you missing? What are you missing? Love to see another mechanic that lets you fill in older primes that haven't been offered to free to play yet. Yeah, that's called Alliance Tournament. It already exists. That actually, it's almost every new mechanic that comes in does that. Almost every new mechanic. You know, you come into here, there's free primes and outposts. This just launched. Free primes in the outpost tree, right? This one's got, eventually you'll have these artifacts and stuff, but this is a loop speed up in the challenge tree. This just came out. So you're not getting rewards for armadas. I'll be honest, Daniel, that sounds extremely doubtful. Maybe it's just not showing up on your screen, but you're getting them. That sounds really doubtful that you're not getting alliance rewards or armada rewards. That just seems like a visual bug. So you aren't over your daily hostile cap? Me? Never. Now that is true. If you're on your daily hostile cap, like if you hit your daily hostile cap, you will not get rewards for armadas. You won't get rewards for anything until it resets. So that's something to bear in mind as well. If you hit 2,500 hostiles, you will then not get dropped rewards for anything. Armadas, hostiles, nothing. So, yeah, outpost this morning, yesterday, and nothing. Well, like I said, you can forward me a ticket, man, but I can't guarantee you a fix. As always, all I can do with stuff like that is make sure they're aware. So, and if you've had a ticket, if you've had several tickets in for over a year, then they've got to be aware. Maybe they're not, but all I can do is make sure they're aware of the problem. What's up, Skippy? Welcome in. Good to see you. That's why I prefer to use my cube. My cube doesn't take multiple trips for this. You want a prime only research stream? Well, as Mimo used to say, want in one hand, you know. Yeah. Do you have any ability to ask Oakley if they're planning to update the ops practice for mid-op events? Since they're increasing the minimum ops for new stuff for 55, the 51, 54s are getting stuck in limbo. They're not doing that, no. Because you know why, Chris? Because in a few months from now, all the new content is going to be locked at G6 and above. So there's no point adjusting the leaderboards for 3 months. That's how they're going to see it. So only exchange Armada rewards, send the rewards to your hold. All the other Armadas go right to the inventory. That's correct, Frost. That is correct. Let's see if our refineries are ready to get these pulls in. Yeah, I mean, again, just in case people are watching and don't know, as the game continues to age, it will continue to raise the bar on, you know, when new content or who new content is available to. So that it's just eventually you're going to get to 60, and then you get to 65, and then 70, etc. Well, I hold a 63 versus getting your uncommon and going to 64. Seems like the ability to refine rare mats be worth it. Why would it be worth it? It's not hard to get rare mats. The refinery is crap. The refinery doesn't pay out anything good, Scorpio. My rebuttal to that is, since when is the refinery good? If you're leveling for the refinery, my personal opinion, you're playing the game wrong. Because this refinery is terrible. Who cares that this suddenly gives you rares at 64? I can get rares at 63 at basically identical rate. The refinery is boo-boo garbage. I don't bother with the refinery. I mean, I do my basic pulls because I OPC hunt, but the only thing I really use the refinery for is this right here, the converter tokens. And when I need to come in here and let's just say I have a slew of rares and crystals, which right now I've got 46,000 rare 6-star crystal and I just need to make some swaps, I use it for that. But the regular refinery hasn't had any value to me basically since the game was invented. There's really never been a time where I've thought this material refinery was worth planning your gameplay around. It's lagniappe. Yes, do it because you always want to get as much as you can, but it is the definition of extra. And to me, it should not be something that's focused on. It should just be something that you take advantage of. Do your bulk refines. But I certainly wouldn't level up for it, and I certainly wouldn't hold back my leveling for it either. Now, that's just my opinion. Some people disagree with that. An example of a content creator who would disagree, and I love shouting out content creators who have different opinions, would be James Bond. James Bond believes that you get literally everything you can and you move up operations as quickly as you can. I don't agree with that. That's not how I would play the game. So you do have to find what works for you at the end of the day, but that's my logic, is the refinery just doesn't pay out very much. I'm not going to base my leveling strategy around that. Also, good to see you, Minnie Mabel. How are you doing? Welcome in. Sugar Fat Man says, I get a majority of my G5 rare mats and chip parts from the Xborg faction store and events. Yep. I mean, the events in particular are, dare I say, lucrative. Ooh, hold on. Don't click that. Don't click that. We want to make sure. Yeah. Let's just make sure that we 100% that. We don't need to give Scopely any reason to be like, nah, that's not going to work. We don't need to give them any reason for that. As an Op 71 player that has returned to the arena since the first weeks when it was released, is my best strategy to have an Op 67 start the group, then also have an Op 63 join? Absolutely. Yes. And yeah, my arena video is still valid in terms of strategies and such. But yeah, that would be your best for helping keep that ops level lower down. Scopely, all of us going 7-star. They need to get a little friendlier with the Sigma Trit. This is what they're already doing, Jason. I mean, that's already happened, right? I've been quoting it a lot, but as the good book says, there's nothing new under the sun. The process of G7 is identical to G6. It's identical to G5. We've been through this song and dance. Many of us have. Some of you haven't. But you're slowly getting economy updates. G6 has fantastic economy updates. I mean, it's very easy to free to play through G6 now. It's getting easier to free to play through G7. And as the months come along, that will only get easier to then eventually open up another can of worms down the road. If G8, if we even make it to G8. Again, it's just the style of STFC. So Sigma Trit is getting easier now, but is it the easiest thing in the world? Depends on what ops level, but it's already drastically improved. I mean, if you were an early adopter to G7, or even, if you're an early adopter to G6, the amount of Sigma that I get now, so significantly more. I mean, the fact that, I didn't pay for any of these things. Like, I didn't buy packs. The fact that I easily have a tier 9 uncommon and I'm still sitting on 4 million raw Sigma or regular Sigma, Tritanium. I mean, my ships are upgraded. The game is providing way more in G6 than it used to be. Still, more is needed. I'm not saying that upgrades can stop and they can stop improving the economy. I'm just saying this is the normal pace and that they're already, working through that. And, if you play a little bit slower, it's easier. If you play a little bit faster, you have to deal with a little bit of that headache, where you need Sigma Tritanium to get to that, next ship part. So G5 is going to get super easy and G6 will be easy before G8 comes out. And I'd argue G5 is already super easy and G6 is already easy, but it will get easier. What's the max tier for a cube at 63? Tier 14. So this is a max cube, because to get here, I would need to go to 66. So this is a max cube for a 63. Still pretty beefy. I mean, mine's 9.3. I use it mostly for hostile stuff, as you can tell by the FT and CT. But yeah, this is generally what a cube for a 63, if that player has gone ahead and, like I said, did the uncommon, that's what their cube should look like. Yeah. You'll level up until all your research is maximum level. So you min-max. Yeah, and min-maxing can definitely help you feel that burn and that grind of needing things like Sigma. Absolutely. And that makes a lot of sense. So as you're working through the process, your style of play comes into this, and how much that affects, number one, what you enjoy, and number two, what you take advantage of. Go ahead and start working on getting more of these officers maxed out. You're camping in G5 this year to catch up on research and ships. I'm following your advice. I leveled up too quick and now playing catch up. Nothing wrong with that. And more importantly, I hope you're having fun and enjoying. That's huge. That's huge. M1st Glorious says Arena always comes down to crews, player research, and PvP gear. You can do a mix and run to a group of lower players than you and still get smoked if they're strong PvPers. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times, for those of you who watch on Twitch, have y'all seen me and my group of G6s beat G7s? Right? Strategy is important. Focusing on that's important. But as I always like to add, PvP is not something that you can just get good at. That takes time and planning. But it is something that you can do if you want to work towards that as a goal. But there's no instant like, wow, this made me great at PvP. All right, there's a lot that goes into all that, and it takes time. But it is an achievable goal, and that's the key. It's an achievable goal that everybody can push towards, and that's a big thing. Let me swap this out real quick, and what I'm gonna go do is I'm gonna do a quick wave. We'll do a quick wave. While we're sitting here and we're doing different things, we're talking different topics, let's do a wave. Will I even bother swapping out crews? I guess I will. I'll put a basic Section 31 crew in here for usage, and we'll go do a quick wave. I'm almost to the point where I could do a G6 one, but we're going to do those at 66. So for now, I'm farming the G5s. Have arena numbers increased now that they regularly include the event alongside it? Yes. However, it is worth noting, Miss Joanne, that the really bad lag and stability problems we've been experiencing over the past 2 months have kind of negated the help that is being given, if that makes sense. So the numbers that we saw increase because of the event, there has been a drastic, almost drastic is how I would word it, improvement to the amount of people doing arenas. That then gets negated by the fact that some of the lag and stability has been so bad, there are just as many people who are no longer doing arenas. I need to get a new rug. This thing grabs the chair wheels and bunches up, and it's very annoying. On level 39, should I focus on the Defiant before the Cube? Yes. Not that the Cube is bad, but the Cube is essentially irrelevant until you get into upper G5 at the minimum. It's nice to have, but you essentially don't need it. There's nothing it can do for you. So I would encourage you to focus on other things. But yeah, Defiant being one of those. You could even make the argument today the Defiant isn't even that needed, just simply based on the fact that the Bajoran faction is so old. Everything that exists now will handle the Bajoran faction. But if we're just talking content, like what we're actually doing, then yeah, the Defiant before the Cube. So never you use Defiant even when it came out. And see, I love the Defiant, and I think the Defiant has maybe the best looking skin in the game. But, it's definitely aged to a point where it's not as good as it once was. And it did have some good value when it first launched, but as with many things in this game, that has already passed. Like it's kind of sunsetted at this point. But still, if you're at that level, you're playing the game, enjoy the game. I'd say play the thing. I'd say enjoy the thing. You get 10 blueprints for free each week, so you're just grabbing it. Yeah. Because you got it in Cosmic Cleanup anyway, right? So you might as well. That reminds me, on my Server 710 account, I'm actually building that ship. Yeah, I'm building the Defiant, which is pretty cool. Again, do I really need it? Need such a relative thing? I think a lot of times it's just as important just to experience the fun of having a new thing and celebrating the new thing. Sometimes that's the reason to play, is just to have the new thing and enjoy it. it's easy to get distracted in STFC because the game is always hounding you to do 4,000 things, right? Well, oh, crud. I done queued up something that didn't need to get queued up. Well, that's a bummer. It'll be fine. Defiance the only Federation ship you'll buy a cloaking device for. You flatly refuse to equip it to any other Federation ship because of continue. Oh, crud. I completely forgot about these. Whoops. That's what I get for paying attention to chat. And say all these are queuing up incorrectly, so whatever. My Kashars are all jacked up. Well, that sucks. Oh well. What you gonna do? I keep trying to swap ships and it's not swapping. And then before anybody says it, yeah, use the keybinds. I don't want to use the keybinds. Chat, you know, I'm going to make a controversial statement. I'm tired of Star Trek Fleet Command being a game that I have to treat like a AAA title that I'm playing competitively. No, it's a mobile game. And if something don't work anymore, fine, it don't work. I'm not going to sit here and fret over it and min-max and all that other stuff. If y'all choose to, more power, but I'm sick of it. This is a mobile game, dang it, and it either works or it doesn't. Oh man. Can you get more than 2 extra base points for waves? No, you can only get the extra 2 from the prime, and that's it. You get the 2 from the prime, and that's it. Did I miss where they sourced Black Ops and Banga and Chapel? Seems like they forgot those guys. Sourcing is in the spreadsheet. We've got that in our officer spreadsheet. If you're looking for Black Ops Chapel, she is in the... Gosh, she has a source. Now I'm blanking on what it is. Crap, I can't even remember. She has a source. I'll pull it up in a second. Obviously, I'm doing a wave right now, so... But I'll pull it up after the wave. But she has a source that you can pull from. Yeah, Serene Squall, thank you. I knew somebody in chat would grab it. She's part of the Serene Squall stuff, so... Are you going to beam or not? Thank you. The delay on this guy. But yeah, Serene Squall. And then as far as, just bring up the spreadsheet. A lot of people forget that we have a spreadsheet for everything. We have a spreadsheet. If you go look on my website, you go look on my Facebook, look on my Discord. Yeah, we've got all these things. And this will give you sourcing for all of them. Let me look up Mbanga real quick. Yeah, Black Ops Mbanga is in the Maverick faction store. Black Ops Mbanga is in the Maverick faction store. Continuity-wise, in TOS and TNG, the Enterprise was equipped with a cloaking device. Did remove every single episode in both cases. Yeah, which is why it's not canon. Yeah, and the type of cloaking device used in TNG isn't a standard cloaking device anyway. So canonically, the Enterprise D never had a cloak because the one it did was immediately done away with to maintain the treaty because it was against the rules. So we can't say that it had cloaking because it literally went and grabbed the phase cloaking from the Pegasus, and then Picard, in like the wussiest move ever, was like, "Our bad, we'll destroy this in front of you right now." Oopsie whoopsies. So, and this is part of why Cisco is my favorite captain, because that was a very beta move there, Picard. Very beta move. That was a great show of integrity to the law. Yeah, and you know what? Call me a terrible person. I think the nature and importance to the state is more important than integrity to the law in that case, especially given the Romulan Star Empire's constant incursions along the neutral zone, which they were always going across and then making some excuse. "Oh, we're sorry. We claim this planet." No, you don't. We had a whole freaking treaty about this. Yeah, I would have told the Romulans to go screw themselves. If they had a problem, to arm their phaser banks, let me know what's happening. But that's why I like Cisco. Like, I would have told the Romulans, shut the heck up, or I'm going to punch you with a quantum torpedo into your bow. That's just my opinion, though. That's just my opinion. I also prefer my captains to punch Q. That's just my opinion. So everybody's allowed to be like, Rev, how dare you? Picard's the best captain ever. Fair. 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 Whatever you like is completely good. So, yeah. Picard never punched me. It was a great episode. Great episode. You have to go with Archer? Ugh. Gross. Gross. But you know what? Opinions, completely valid. They always are. Everybody's allowed to have them. Just like some people liked Chronicles of the Ascendant. Some people didn't. You know, everybody's allowed to have those things. Everybody's allowed to have those things. Yeah. Cisco would destroy entire peoples. Cisco's a character. What is this? Hold on, sorry. Let me see. I got a message from my wife real quick. Let me see what this is. All right, cool. Just checking on the kids. Oh gosh, there's always something with these daggum things. They're called children. Thank children. You were just looking for Tangia? Wrong channel there, Dark Vinegar. Wrong channel, but I appreciate you. All right, so we got that done. Let me go check our polls here. And then hopefully here this next month, we'll have the NX-01 added into the Independent Archive. We can start finishing that one out. I know a lot of y'all been looking forward to it. This is a big one that we do for Alliance tournaments. Don't forget to do your polls here for Alliance tournaments. I'm going to be doing it. Mostly because I am 15,000 away of that epic currency from maxing Picard U. But if you're out there and you don't remember, or you had forgotten or whatever, NX-01 is the next expected ship to the IA building. It's actually already in the Avatar room. So y'all can go look at it yourself if you want to take a look at it. And yeah, enjoy. Enjoy. Worf for captain? I like Worf. Yeah. I like Worf. You had a drill instructor in boot camp like Cisco, was very intimidating. And hey, I'm sure they were a very good drill instructor. Avatar. Yeah, so Z Krieger, if you go into where you would go to change your avatar, if you scroll down, you can find there's currently an NX-01 avatar for mastering the NX-01. So obviously that's not in the IA yet, but we see that it's right there. So clearly the NX-01 is going to get added into the Independent Archive. The question just simply becomes when. As of right now, they're averaging adding in a new ship every 2 months. That's what the current rate has been. I still got to finish doing my Mantis, but that is the current rate, is about once every 2 months. Yeah. While Scopely slow rolling all the ships into IA. I wouldn't say that they're slow rolling it. They're rolling it at the exact same rate that they said they would. It's basically a 1-to-1. New loops come in, loops get maxed out. So, at what level to max the IA for the NX-01? It's a great question. Don't know. Obviously, one of the complaints we've had is they've made some pretty high requirements to max some of these out. In terms of like ops and stuff, like this requires archive level 60 for some reason, though you don't need archive 60 or you don't need op 60 to max out the Mantis. So we'll have to see what they do with the NX-01. Many of us definitely raised our voice in complaints with some of the IA moves, but we don't know what it's going to be. Yeah. Got tired of the Enterprise loop and the Mantis loop. I find myself having to dive back into maxing those ships. The OCD will get you, man, wanting to make sure that you got everything done, right? Can you offhand tell me the special ships I should have before 40? Yeah, all the ones that exist. Disco, Mantis, Amalgam, Defiant, right? Literally, Voyager, Talios, all the ones that exist. I mean, if you're asking what I would do. Now, I say that I went to G4 and I still don't have my Cerritos or my Titan just because it takes so long to get them. But I mean, all of them have merit and value in G3. It depends on how you're playing and what you're doing and what you're enjoying. But essentially, I do not suggest skipping anything that exists. Play the game. Now, if you just get something and find you don't like it, well, it's legitimate to be like, hey, I don't like this, I'm not doing it. That's fair. But speaking beyond that, like just playing the game, no, everything. All the ships. So, collect and get all these. Just did these last night. Sarko and IA. So, game design actually talked about this last year, the end of last year. And they said the Sarko was not on the list for IA because they acknowledged it was such a flop. It wasn't a good ship. They acknowledged it was not very good. A lot of players didn't find value in it. A lot of players didn't even use it. So as of now, that's not even on the list to get added in. I'm sure eventually at some point it will, but I'm sure most people here would also say, yeah, I would prefer them to continue to do other things instead. Also, the graphics starting acting up is getting on my nerves. Trying to think. Let's just do this one. Get another 30 for Kirk's phaser rifle. You don't have the Sarko, Disco, Mantis, Cube, Titan, Cerritos? And out of importance of all those, the Titan and the Cerritos are probably the ones that are the most beneficial as you go into G4. The Mantis can be beneficial if you're going to do PvP arenas. If you're not going to do PvP arenas, then maybe not that important, not that big of a deal. If you are going to do PvP arenas, then definitely worth it. I guess I'll pull some Mantis challenge refinery to get some outpost directives. Let's go check our dailies. What would the Sarko claim be, apart from disappointment? Who knows? In current game, how important is the ISS jellyfish? It's only good for scrapping. So you can invest in the ISS jelly so that you can then, speed run the gas of G4 and max out an Enterprise A really quickly, which is really nice. And that helps you have a maxed Enterprise D at level 60, which is really nice. But in terms of the ship itself, it's not needed. It doesn't have any uniqueness or power about it that makes it special. It's just another specialty ship. But it is handy to be able to use it as a tool to max out and then prep things like the Enterprise A, which, again, long-term thinking, that there's value in that. So, what main ships I should concentrate on in G5 before heading to G6? I'm still working on getting a G5 ship. Got to go up a couple more levels to upgrade your cube and your Talios. Well, obviously a faction ship. It depends on which one you're at in terms of ops level. So your faction ships at 53, 56, and 60. But in terms of specialty ships that are the best in that area, the Relativity is probably the strongest individual ship in G5 until you get to the maxed out G5 epics. But that's really good. And again, highly recommend people take the time to invest into that if you are not already. So, Master Refinery Tier 1 is great at sourcing Strange New World. And while that's true, Edward, I don't really find any value in that because Strange New World is sourced all over the place. So I personally don't find the need to do the Mantis loop specifically for that. But you are right in what you're saying. Gosh, this lag is getting really bad. I'm going to have to reboot here in a second. This is getting annoyingly bad lag-wise. All right, let me come down here. I do need to do Mantis pull. Needed to get that in. You want to do Mantis for the Syndicate? Nice. Right now, I'm only doing Mantis just to get the daggum thing maxed out because I haven't maxed it out. So I need to get maxed out. But yeah, I mean, I use it in PvP arenas. Right now, I'm not playing PvP arenas, but I use it for PvP arenas as well. Well, scrapping a max Enterprise A, max Enterprise D depends on your research, as I've said many times. If you've done every efficiency research, you have all the things, then yeah, it'll be good. If you've not, then no, it won't be enough. It depends on how much you've actually stuck to, and there's even more efficiencies that have come out. So it just depends on how closely you're sticking to all that. If you've not done a lot, then you're going to have to use multiple runs. You know, there's a magic percentage for all of them. Like the ISS Jelly profitability is like 630. But, you know, by level 60, you could have multiple thousands of percent of that ship efficiency for parts and everything just sitting there. So you got 2 SS jellies, very nice. Looking forward to maxing the Mantis for the daily Syndicate pull. Yeah, and see, that's why I'm working on maxing mine now. That's why I just did that pull you just saw. So I can come back on this Mantis that I have never finished. I've got one part left. And I am, I think, 1 day away. Literally one more pull, and I'll have the Mantis maxed out. One more pull. We'll have the Mantis maxed. Behind on content, says Thomas. It is a rainbow location that opened up on my map that has corrupted. Do you know what that is for? I have no idea what you're talking about. A rainbow area? Rainbow. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe talking about the Veil? This is for G7. So, remember, the G5 scrapping plans is not the end all be all way to get mats. Do you think their plans are generally all right? Nope. I think the only people who will be happy with G5 scrapping are the people who've just been ranting and raving they need to get rid of ships. We'll see. But as of what I heard, I ain't happy about it. I've said it before. I would much rather they just not release G5 scrapping at all. I would, honest to God, just wish they would just put scrapping on the shelf and say, screw it. We can't come to an agreement, and then just give all the high-level players who are running out of slots, just give them 50 more slots in their hangar and be done with it. That would be my honest take on the situation. If it's not going to be beneficial to the players and help their economy, then just heck it and put it on a shelf. Don't release it to just go do something to make everybody mad. Yeah. But since they're very, very against the idea of an economy improvement via scrapping, it has been highly debated in the inside Scopely, outside Scopely. Now we'll wait and see, I guess. Sounds like nothing instead of something. Simple, because if you put out something that is bad, that sets a precedent for more bad. If you put out nothing, there's no precedent set. Sometimes more is not more. Because if G5 scrapping is significantly worse than G4 scrapping, that's not more by definition, that's less. And less is less. So I'd rather have nothing than to take a loss. Does that make sense? Like if my option is be insulted and get nothing of value in a significantly worse experience, or my experience just stops at G5, I'd rather have my experience stop at G5. Maybe sometimes things just don't need to continue. Maybe scrapping has a maxed out part of its loop, and I think that would be okay. I would rather have something not exist than be lesser than what we have.
both day and night. Oh, many duck queen, mugs so massive can be seen.
Now, it's just my opinion. Definitely add to the Stella of the Archives. The only thing you get out of doing it once you max everything is that little officer badge pull. Everything else is useless. Well, other people would argue the materials are nice, but I guess that depends on how much, you as a player are utilizing those things. So, remember the Transgen tab for ship efficiency? I could go click it and see if that Transgen would let me max it out right now. I never remember to use these. I'm really bad about never remember to come in here and use these. But let's see. Oh, Mantis isn't in this thingy. Although Gorn, that's tempting. Where's the other one? Loop efficiencies, consumable ship efficiencies, Mantis. Let's just see how much, if any, that helped the Mantis. Let's see. Did that give me enough to max out the Mantis? It's a great call out. It did. It's a call out to you. Shout out to you. You helped me max it out today. Thank you. Shout out to you. You helped me max it out today. Because I never think of using those mathers. So, heck yeah, look, you just helped me finish it out. You're a legend and you're appreciated. Look at that. Now let's go ahead and max this out in the archive and I'll be done. And that will give me 12,000 Syndicate a day now. So that's pretty cool. I mean, more is more, right? How do you get officer badges from the Stella? By doing the event every Thursday. The Apex Thursday events. It is a rainbow location on the map that is filled with corrupted and ascended ships that drop broken ship parts. What's this location for? I mean, most specialty ships drop broken ship parts. Sounds like you're maybe talking about here? Maybe? Maybe where the Conqueror Borg armadas are? Possibly? Again, I don't see anything that's really rainbow. I say we have the new system here in Fed Space. That's for the Conqueror Borg armadas. And that's the closest to rainbow I can think of. But there's not, as you see, there's nothing actually. It's just pretty. But I'll go in the system and see if this is what you're talking about. Yeah, Robert, you're right. I just don't use Spock's Club like that. So are you meaning this system? Because this is the only area I can really think of rainbow. There's not really anywhere else I could think of a rainbow besides the Veil. And you said no. All right, then I have no idea what rainbow area you're looking at. You can send me a picture on Discord, Thomas. And I'll keep an eye out for a message on Discord. Is the Gorn ship worth having? Yep. Again, every specialty ship, Jamie. This is a channel where you will not have a content creator tell you to skip stuff. Pick it all up. Now, there might be order of what's more important, but I'm going to tell you to get all of it. What's the max warp range of an eviscerator? Honestly, I'd have to Google that one, James. I have to look that one up. Saw a video yesterday about hitting V'ger hostiles at your level, using a Mantis to sting your own warship, then summon in the V'ger space. Is that a thing? Yeah, that is. I mean, I don't like that method because it's just, like, I'm glad it helps people do it, but like if your account is that weak, you really need to be focused on getting better, not finding ways to finagle it around. I think it teaches a bad habit of, same thing with like removing all the fleet commanders so that you remove all criticals. Like, your account should just be strong enough to not need to do all that. You shouldn't need all the fancy tricks. But yeah, that exists, but it shouldn't be the answer, I guess is what I'm saying. It shouldn't be the answer. But there are cool tricks that people can use, as long as that doesn't result in the player being like, well, I'm strong for my level. No, you're not. By definition, you're really weak for your level if you can't do the content. And I don't want those crutches to become a permanent thing. As long as they're temporary, as you work on the things that you need, that's completely fine. So, Skippy says Max Eviscerator has a warp range of 1495. Is that including Grush, Fleet Commander Kirk, etc., Skippy? Because I'll be honest, I really don't remember the warp range for Max on the Eviscerator. Yeah, and mine's not Max. I've only got a tier 11 Eviscerator. So, I've only got a little baby one. Because, again, remembering to upgrade some of these things, a little bit of a hassle for Rev. Just a little bit. You know, not that big of a deal, but a little bit of a hassle for Rev. He doesn't always remember. Let's see what artifacts we got in here we can upgrade. Oh, Kirk's phaser rifle. There we go. 1495 without Grush or warp range officers. Thank you. Left of Fed space, south of the new outlaw. All right, let's go see. Left of Fed space, south of the new outlaw. The new outlaw. You mean augment? You talking about this? This area? I mean, because this is Wrath of Khan, which I assume this is what they're talking about when they say outlaw. Is this the area you're referring to? This? Short answer, this is basically nothing. This is the, what, start point for Outpost? I mean, it's basically a big nothing burger. Yeah. Baby's first outpost system, like Braindig's saying. What? Here in... I actually haven't even explored all these. Yeah, I was the mission start point. Correct, Lou. I haven't even finished exploring all of them. But you'll see they're just full of standard hostiles. And the missions were in here for Outpost. Make sure you weren't... Yeah, no problem, Thomas. Sorry it took us so long to figure out what you're talking about. Because, like, I wouldn't have referred to that as Rainbow. But, I mean, that's fine. There you go. Now you know. Now my OCD wants to go explore all the systems. Just to have them done. I'm sure there are a lot of y'all out there like that. I get tired not having the systems explored. So, I'll actually just spend time doing nothing but exploring systems. So... music's pretty good. I like it. All right. Might need to relook at the transient store. I totally hadn't noticed those efficiencies. Yeah, again, for me, I just forget to ever use them. But there are multiple in the transient store, essentially speed ups for loops. So you have the loop efficiencies, which these pay out parts directly. So this is paying for parts. So I click this, I'm getting, you know, beryllium spheres and things like that. You know, so if you haven't finished these things out, be a good way to, you know, speed you up a little bit. Like I can do this. I should be getting artifacts. I'm just showing how this works. You know, and then there's the Gorn one, which I said I needed. So I might as well pull that one as well. But that's just helping you speed up those loops. And then coming down here, you have these efficiencies, which these actually will make it cheaper for you to upgrade those ships because they're a cost efficiency exocomp. So as long as this exocomp is active, you've got a cheaper upgrade path. So here's one with the relativity. That costs epic though. Some of them only cost rare, like for the older ones, or they're cost common. And this one's an uncommon for the Defiant. But could be useful if you remember to, you know, go in there and do them. Again, this is an area that I tend to always forget about. But if you want to save yourself a lot of ship parts, that can be very useful. And just got to be unlike Rev and actually remember to go in there and do it. Don't forget mission keys. Yep, good reminder. Mission keys, head over to the website, get your mission keys in. Definitely do that. We get these all in. More and more and more artifacts. I've gotten all those maxed. I'm pretty sure. Kind of just pull these out of habit now. I'm sure I have all those maxed. And I don't have these maxed, but I've got all that done up there at the top. Still working on several more though. And you can see I still got to unlock. Here's some of the new ones that just came out, like the optical chip reader, Cochrane's music disc. These all just came out here recently. And I do want to go ahead and grab those. The different Phoenix parts. Be real cool if there's a Phoenix ship coming. Nogs, Kane, Cisco's Romulan glass. So anyway, I need to get several of those. But still, again, slowly working on maxing out some of the others. And the good thing about the Transient store is when you have maxed out those items, they will disappear. Which is a freaking blessing. I swear to goodness, it's like they didn't know how to make that happen. For some things. Now, if we just get them to do that over in, say, you know, Alliance tournaments, that would be fantastic. All right, let me make sure we got a shield up. We do. Go check on server 710 real quick. Do a little swapperoo. Did you do your AP? What is AP? What's AP? Cool. If there's a Phoenix shit coming in a few weeks, it would be cool. If you're into the, you know, the history of Star Trek and you're into the lore, it would be cool to have that. Oh, Anomalous Phenomenon. Yeah, I did my Anomalous Phenomenon on that account. Look at this, man. Like just spamming me with all this. Oh my Lanta. $20 for 2 million Latinum. Oh my gosh. Gosh, just all of these. Holy heck. Leave me alone. Rev's broke. Rev would rather spend on family. 4 squall jumps, 250 costs each. Get your Anomalous Phenomenon done quickly. Yep, sure can. Let's go see if this thing is ready for some more upgrades as we're working on getting the Reliant done on this account. There we go. Got cargo bay upgrade, warp engine upgrade, one more. Impulse engines will be heading to tier 5. Pretty cool. Level 40, already pushing tier 5 on my Reliant. That's very good. You max the hair sample artifact, but it's still in the store for purchase. Okay. Let's see. Did that. 4 hours. Need to get reminded for that. Let's go see. Can we pull this? We cannot. Let's see. Do we have any officer shards laying around we can take advantage of? We got a few, not many. Why are the battle pass tasks just to cut and paste from the day before? Simplicity. Simplicity and synergy. Now, there's only a handful of battle pass tasks. They've got them pretty much on a pretty consistent cycle. It's a pretty limited number of them. So that, I believe, we'll be able to tier up the Stella with that pull. You can double check that. And yeah, I am still working on the Stella loop. My M score is terrible, but every now and then I still work on the Stella loop a little bit. Let's see. Is she ready? She's not. We are literally like 200 away from taking this to tier 7. But oh well. And then there's my cube. Since we had another player talking about a cube, there's my baby cube here. And as you can see, I can start working on G4 stuff, but would need a 42 ship to take it any further. And it's just not going to surpass what I'm currently at. So it's nice to have, though. It is really cool. I love having a board cube. I just wish it was more relevant. Let me go put this up. Get it grinding. Just for the trophies and such. And I'm still slowly working on getting the reputation as well. And I need to do my main storyline missions. And I did a video about this. Just a reminder to everybody. Please make sure you're all doing your main storyline missions. There are a lot of things in this game that you will miss or have to go back and do if you're not just doing your storylines. So just pick you a day here and there and do your storylines. Thank you, GW. Appreciate it. You like to summon your Pylum 2 from 60 systems to run some Armadas and finish Anom Phenom that way? Completely fair. If you have 2 max Ls and a max M score, is there any point in building a third? Nope. There's not. Is there a site that shows where all the holodeck missions give? Yeah, STFC.space, but go ahead and tell you right now, Z Krieger, the only reason to do the holodeck missions is if it's the mission of the month, like if you're of the appropriate ops level, or you just enjoy the stories. There's no payouts in here that are worth chasing. There's no payout in here that's like worth you dropping significant time or really going after. If you want to enjoy the stories, nothing wrong with that at all, right? Like if I want to go do the Exodus mission from Wrath of Khan, nothing wrong with that if I want to experience the story, but there's no reason to go out and do the missions beyond that. The rewards are not going to be anything that's going to progress your account. The amount of time you'll spend doing the rewards, you could spend doing several other things that are just going to be more beneficial to you and your account. Yeah, some of them will give like a handful of officer shards. Some of them will give a handful of uncommons. Some will give a handful of speed ups. Nothing that actually has any real relevancy or merit in today's game. Combat training, and then, oh, see, like this one. That, giving a few handful of shards for Wrath of Khan Carol. I'll go work on that, and that was one of the normal missions. I've also solo in the game. It seems like I'm missing out on stuff because I'm not in an alliance. I enjoy the solo play. Any cookies come our way for solo players? Nope. I mean, it's two ways to look at it. You could look at it as like, everybody else is getting cookies, or am I just choosing to not get cookies? Like there's no, there are detriments. It is a detriment to be solo. You can absolutely play solo, but you will miss out on a lot of things. So when the officer you can spend transporter patterns are all max, are transporter patterns redundant? Yes. Like if you've completely finished that, then you know you're waiting for them to add more to it. If you've already got them all maxed out. So catch up on your main storyline. Awesome. And again, I just don't want that to bite people in the butt, you know, where, you know, maybe you're not somebody who really enjoys the missions, which is fine, but the main storyline, these gold ones, you know, that they're going to need you to pay a little bit of attention to them, because you're going to have things that you can't start doing in the games, places you can't go, etc., unless you do your main storylines. So. The Wrath of Khan missions paid out a lot of rare / epic credits. Paid out a solid amount, yeah. It was okay. But again, like in terms of like what you need, not that much. Like I said, I get more from just doing my priority ones and doing my away teams, which I do regularly anyway. See, I'm not reading the story. I'm trying to spam. Oh my gosh, that was a long story. I don't know what that one was about. That was long, but I just got 10,000 Latinum, so I don't care. I'll gladly take the Latinum. Mo Latinum is Mo better. I need as much Latinum as I can find. And then we can see we can collect this mission. Now that one's done. See, this one gives out 1,400. Not too shabby. And it gave me 4 Wrath of Khan Carol shards. 6,000 mission done and counting. That's awesome, Jonathan. Generation appropriate missions are a reasonable place to get a faction rep. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. Get that sent. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up because I've been informed today that I need to go fly a kite with my children. As in, literally, the plan is to fly a kite. So I'm going to wrap up for the day. But if anybody needs me, feel free to shoot me a message. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all for loving on me and my family. And my DMs are always open, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Discord, hit me up. Live long and plunder. Stay safe at their deuces. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Thank you as always for spending time with me and my family.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.